Best budget phone out this year.
CMF Phone 2 Pro. Search now on Flipkart.
राहुल तेरी वजह से पूरा प्लान कैंसिल हो गया।
अरे भाई
रहने दे।
सुन,
बडीज के साथ क्रिकेट स्क्रीनिंग का प्लान बनना फास्ट, सेम प्लान कैंसिल होना उससे भी फास्ट। उसी क्रिकेट मैच के स्कोर अपडेट्स ESPN क्रिक इन्फो पे मिलना सुपर फास्ट। सुपर फास्ट स्कोर अपडेट्स के साथ और भी बहुत कुछ मिलेगा।
For fast scores and a lot more, download the ESPN Crick Info app now.
All right, come on now, Asia Cup, start already. Match number 5, and we will have the rivalry of the decade in this part of the world. Bangladesh take on Sri Lanka in a decade where the spoils are even. 16 games, 8 to Bangladesh, 8 to Sri Lanka. They come together now in Abu Dhabi. So let's build up. On CMF by Nothing presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout. It is a fixture and an occasion that is worthy of recalling Aakash Chopra back. And we roll out the big Sri Lankan gun this time. I must say, he reminded me, after 8 years on first appearing on our platform, finally, Farveez Maharoof has been taken out from one of these screens and put into this chair next to us. Farveez, very warm welcome to the Cricket Info studios for the first time.
Thank you for having Raunak. Yes, it's been 8 years since I started working for Cricket Info. First time in the studio. Happy man.
Yeah, and I hope we leave you a happy man today. Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, because it looks, you know, I think you said it on the last Bangladesh game that you were on, Aakash, that it could be that Bangladesh might upset Sri Lanka. I don't know if that was you.
I also said that Sri Lanka might actually play India in the finals.
So
you've chosen.
No, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because I happen to receive some, you know, constructive criticism on you on our comments on social media.
Right.
So that's all that there is. You know more than me.
Yeah.
And they said, how can Aakash Chopra say that Bangladesh will upset Sri Lanka? Bangladesh is the stronger team. Bangladesh is the better team.
No, but I also feel actually the winner of today will actually go to the second round.
Yeah.
That big.
Yeah. How do you feel about Sri Lanka's chances when they come up against Bangladesh? This is a rivalry that's obviously given us more than, you know, we've asked for, not only on the field but off the field too. How do you narrate the Sri Lanka-Bangladesh rivalry from your lens, Farveez?
I think the last few years it has gone to another level. I mean, gone are the days before 2017, I would say, it's mostly Sri Lanka winning most of the games. But come the 2020, just before COVID, things have been quite changed. And Bangladesh have won more games as well. So I reckon going into this game, in my opinion, though I'm a Sri Lankan, I don't see any favourites here. I reckon both sides are really good. And coming into this game, Bangladesh has won 3 series on the trot. Sri Lanka lost to Bangladesh in Sri Lanka, but they beat Zimbabwe in Zimbabwe. So the form has been quite good. So for me, no one is favourites in this game.
Yeah, you bring up that Zimbabwe game, but you wouldn't be concerned about dropping a game against Zimbabwe? There was the 80 all out in that second game.
Yeah, actually.
Are you confident of Sri Lanka's form?
I mean, thing is, when it comes to Sri Lanka, it has become very unpredictable, especially the batting. Batting has let down, especially when Sri Lanka lost the series against Bangladesh at home in Sri Lanka. Batting let down. So I just hope that the top order, when Pathum Nissanka, Kusal Mendy scores runs, 90% or 80% of the time, Sri Lanka win games. But when they fail, is where the problem is. So, you know, they need to act fast, as he correctly said. I feel whoever wins this game will have 1.5 foot in the second round.
Good toss to win. They're playing their first game. Bangladesh have had at least a bit of a workout against Hong Kong, but Sri Lanka's won the toss at Abu Dhabi. They're going to have a bowl first.
It's an interesting one actually, because we're still figuring out what teams prefer in this Asia Cup. Some teams have won the toss, batted first. Some teams have won the toss, bowled first. If we were to go by what Farveez just said, that batting is the problem. So if whatever is your problem, you want to do that first and do whatever is your strength as the second half of a T20 game. But they've chosen to chase that Sri Lanka, of course. So it's going to be an interesting one, is how I feel. And unlike the other teams, I think these two teams are stacked differently as well. Where everyone else is talking about spin. Now let's put as many spinners as possible on the park, and fast bowlers are there for presence and not really for their venom. But here, though these two teams, I will have a look at the playing 11, but I'm very certain that both teams will feature 3 pacers each. So they are either seeing the conditions differently, or they are just playing to their strengths and forget about the conditions whatsoever.
All right, and I'm going to come to the teams in just a second. We'll get an idea of what Sri Lanka are thinking. India, Pakistan have gone spin heavy so far. Afghanistan, that was something that we could predict, but let's see what Sri Lanka do in a little while from now. I was very curious though to read ahead of this game Charit Asalanka's views on how the team is thinking about this tournament. He says, in our mind, we are the defending champions.
Correct, that's true.
Because the last time the Asia Cup was played in the T20 format, we won it. So 2023, when India blew Sri Lanka away for 50 in a 50-over format, that's a different entity only. I initially chuckled, and then I thought, I think he's got a point. So I wonder what that tells you firstly, that Sri Lanka said these sorts of things, which aren't usually what you hear from captains. But I wonder what that tells you generally and what your reaction to that was. Both of you.
I think in my opinion, having that mental of being the champions going into the tournament, for me, I like to downplay it. I'll rather go underdog and hurt people rather than trying to be favourites and get yourself bitten by own mouth. So for me, Charita Sri Lanka would have said it, okay, he wants to be like champions, want to show it off. But I would have preferred the other way around, saying, okay, we've this, we've that, but just want to go and play good cricket.
I think he has a point, and like you mentioned, because the last time when these two teams met in an Asia Cup final, Mohammad Siraj took 6 wickets.
Right.
He's not a part of the Indian Asia Cup squad. So world is a very different place now. This is a different tournament, even though the name is still the same. But this is also, I think, how the new generation actually thinks.
Right.
Farveez, myself, play it down, keep it slow, don't tell anyone. Here they go on the rooftop and start shouting.
You are a play it down and don't tell anyone kind of person.
Yeah, I am actually. I don't tell anything to anyone about myself. I am a very private person.
Really?
Yeah,
But you have the biggest public following from any of us.
I only share my opinion, not my life.
And there is another
Distinction.
gem from Aakash Chopra. I just want to be clear, because when India plays Sri Lanka at some point, I want to know who is the defending champion. All these days in my intros, I've been saying the defending champions are back, and slightly confusing and complicated.
Let's get Sri Lanka qualify.
I'll tell you what it tells me though about Sri Lanka and Charita Sri Lanka is how confident they perhaps are in this tournament, regardless of what might be happening in bilateral cricket or their run-ins, and that almost seems like a theme with Sri Lanka in the Asia Cup. It's actually amazing. We speak of how this being the 17th edition of the tournament, and we've never had an India-Pakistan final. Sri Lanka have played a big part in that. They have won the 2022 tournament, which was an emotional ride, and Farveez remembers that. He was with us with everything the country had been through. Even when their win-loss record in bilateral cricket isn't as strong, or in World Cup cricket isn't as strong, they have a 4-2 record as runners-up over here. And I think this just begs the question of what is it that makes Sri Lanka, or brings the best out of Sri Lanka when it comes to the Asia Cup, if there is something.
I'm trying to be kings of Asia. I'm on a personal note, I've played 3 Asia Cups and been once in the champions, twice in the runners-up. That's something about the Asia Cup brings out a different energy. I think World Cup is a World Cup. You're competing against the entire world, but Asia, you know that it's going to be India, Pakistan, gone are the days, but now you got Bangladesh and Afghanistan having formidable sides. But for certain reasons, Sri Lanka does bring the A game out. I mean, 2022, I still remember when we were covering, I was in Sri Lanka and I was in tears when we won it, because no one gave a chance, even including myself. I said Sri Lanka will start as dark horses, like, underdogs. Ended up winning it by surprising India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, everybody. So same mentality I'll carry. Rather than being the favourites, just be underdog, just get the job done on the day. That's exactly what Pakistan did. That's exactly what India did. They had a choice of winning the toss and batting first. They did not. Just did want to get the win in the first game against India. So in these kind of tournaments, you just want to get yourself qualified. Do the little things right, and then things will take care of itself.
Okay, well, we'll have a more detailed chat about Sri Lanka actually, and just the situation surrounding Sri Lanka's form in the shortest format. Remember, Bangladesh beat them in Dallas in the last men's T20 World Cup, but we're closer to the next one than we are to the last one. So that's just how the T20 World Cup works. Playing 11s are more important for the time being. We want to get an idea of whether Bangladesh are making changes, whether Sri Lanka are playing a spin-heavy team, and Shoriful Islam for Tashkin Ahmed. The only change from the team that had to work hard with the bat against Hong Kong, but won comfortably. Aakash?
Injury? I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't rest Taskin with the kind of form that he's come in with, and also the quality that he brings to the table. He is arguably their fastest bowler, or tallest bowler, gets more bounce than anybody else. I like Taskin, but then Shoriful Islam is also someone who is a wicket taker. So Tanzim, Shoriful, Mustafizur, you've got different phases bowlers in those 3 of them. Then Mehdi and Rishad will give you some quality spin as well. So this is a decent team, right? They've started playing a different brand of cricket. cricket. It's just that in the previous game, I felt, again, I'm just slightly digressing, that they had the choice or the chance of really taking the net run rate higher,
Yes.
which they let go.
Yeah.
Something that could have been finished in 13 overs, they took 17 and a half. Little Das, of course, accelerated and got them across the line. But whether it's Tauhid Hridoy or at the top, you felt they were slightly circumspect. So that is Bangladesh's problem. If they can sort it out today, batting first, I mean, they'll be in a good space.
Yeah, I mean, you watch a lot of cricket and cover a lot of cricket in Bangladesh as well. So, firstly, if it is an injury, then there's nothing you can really do about it. But I wonder if there's anything more to it. Bringing Shariful in for Taskin, is it anything to do with Sri Lanka as an opposition, or how do you look at that team?
Well, leading up to the game, the visuals I saw, Taskin was bowling
Right.
in the middle. So that's I saw he was having a chat with Phil Simmons. So I'm not sure whether he injured himself while warming up. And definitely for me, he's one of the best, the number one picks because he's the form he's been in. And I was just in Bangladesh last week playing against Netherlands. He was bowling so superbly. So why change a bowler who extracts extra bounce? And we saw in the previous game in Tanzin Hassan Shakib and Taskin Ahmad hitting the deck, there was pace and bounce. So it's a surprise move, maybe an injury, maybe not. But they also had the option of Saifuddin, the all-rounder. So they've gone for Shariful Islam. They're stacking up the three fast bowlers. So with the new ball.
Okay. Workload management, perhaps.
First match.
not against Sri Lanka.
Just bring it out there. You never know these days.
Oh God,
Because
yeah. Okay.
whatever, just shuts the mouth of all the media then. You just say workload management, you get away with all of it. Right. On serious note, Sri Lanka. This is what we're excited to see. What sort of 11 does Charith Asalanka go with in the opening game of this year's Asia Cup? Now let's have a look. Wanindu Asaranga features. And Farveez, take us through this team. Any surprises at all? And what you make of the first 11?
I think top 7 pick for itself, looking at the performance. Wanindu Asaranga playing after a while, so interesting to see how he's going to go about. Has not played much cricket in the recent past. Dushmantha has been the best bowler for Sri Lanka for a while, so he'll carry on. Matisha Pathirana and Nuwan Tushar, the two quicks. There was a talk between, everywhere that I heard that maybe one of the spinners will come in place of one of those two. Maybe a Villalage or a Mahesh Theekshana, but maybe the conditions in the pitch would have prompted Sri Lanka to go with 3 seamers. So I look at Nuwan Tushar as a new ball bowler, probably bowl a couple or even 3 overs up front. And Matisha Pathirana to bowl probably 1 over in the middle and bowl 2 or 3 overs at the death. So only concern for me, lack of spinners, because 4 bowlers in Wanindu, Chamira, Pathirana, Tushar, you expect them to bowl 16 overs. And the rest of the 4 overs got to be filled by Dasun if the ball is seaming a bit, Charith Asalanka, and the ambidextrous Kamini Mendis.
I'll just help you with what Charith Asalanka has said at the toss. He says the decision is based on the fact that it's a new pitch, and I've gone with a 7-4 combination with 3 all-rounders, and confirms that Hasaranga, of course, is back in the side. But new pitch, and therefore the decision to bowl for whatever it's worth.
And also there is no due actually. I think that's the other thing. If there is due, of course you want to bat second any which way. But this is a very even ground in that respect. Abu Dhabi has conditions haven't really changed over a period of 20 overs or and the entire game. So you go with what you think is right instead of getting dictated by the conditions. We saw some amount of grass in the previous match as well, or matches whatever is being played here. It's just that quality of fast bowling is something that will be on display from both sides. So far it's been just one side doing most of the talking. Here you'll find if there is something in the surface, both teams are capable of extracting.
Alright, brilliant. Now we're going to just pivot back to the game in a few minutes. But since we have the pleasure of Farveez with us today, and since Aakash, I know he's a man of many interests, but he also is very interested in just geopolitics around the world. We will not go to the politics, but we will go to Sri Lanka more in detail, because I'd love to really get the viewership and the Indian fans also who perhaps watch us more than others just acquainted as to how do people in Sri Lanka look at Sri Lankan cricket when we almost have been hearing the term transition, team changes for so long now. That first graphic we showed you a little while back was Sri Lanka really good in the Asia Cup, even if they're not having great form around it. What we'll also show you is just their record in the last few years, and you can draw a line between when they lost key players. Remember, they were the world champions in 2014, beat India in the final, and that's when they started losing their golden generation, the last bit of that golden generation that Farveez also played with, the likes of Mahela and Sangha. 27 to 2014, a 72% win rate. Farveez, very good against the full members as well, and regularly featuring in semi-finals of major tournaments. 2015, and now we're coming to the close of this decade. The win rate is dropped by half. The win-loss numbers against full members, you could see match up to it. and we're still to see Sri Lanka make a world or a major World Cup semi-final. What do you attribute that to?
A lot. I think, yes, I mean, transition happens when the big players go out and you expect the rest of the players or the upcoming young players to make a move. I mean, I'll take two examples here. When Mahela and Kumar, the last of the big names, retired just before Dilshan retired in probably 2017, Lasith in 2018, we had Tiriman and Dinesh Chandimal as the next big things to come up.
Sure.
With. And a lot of time, a lot of opportunities was invested on those two, but have they lived up to the expectations? They did not. I mean, I'm not trying to criticize them, just giving you a picture. So the idea I'm trying to say is that whoever got the opportunity did not make sure they grabbed it with both hands. Angelo Matthews, for a certain extent, he did pick up. I mean, he's the one who replaced me in the side. Ever since he did it, he never let go of the opportunity. He just completely, made his own in all three formats. And until he retired recently, he was dominating most of the games. So I feel lack of grabbing the opportunity and not having those killer instincts, attitude towards the game. That's the main concern. And there was a time around 2016-17 we had 1 year we had about 40 odd players played in all three formats. So that's indication where the players have not picked up their opportunity. So I will put it not on the administration side. In every cricket board there will be administration problem, but it's none to do with the players. The players just got to make use of the opportunity what they get. So this is where I see lack of consistency, lack of grabbing the opportunity has led us down to a situation where 1 or 2 series we are brilliant, and all of a sudden when we lose, and we lose badly, and we have had that, and a lot of questions are asked. So I feel it's a mix of many things, but I just hope that this set of players who are at the peak of 26, 28 age, another 5-6 years to go, at least put a good show, somehow start somewhere, leading up to the 2027 50-year World Cup, be consistent.
How do you have a question?
I just indulge me a little. In fact, I actually feel that how your country as a whole is progressing is also reflective of how your sport is now actually going to go. So if your country is not the trajectory is not the way you want it to be all the time, then it will also be seen in other facets of your country, and sport being a very important aspect of that. So whatever has happened with Sri Lanka over a period of time, last decade we are looking at, and it's not just now. So from here as well, if you were to look at the next 10 years, so if the country's economy, and again talent at one stage was good enough, you could be very talented and you could play, because every other team in the world was playing based on talent. And then certain teams will suddenly upgrade, and their infrastructure and everything else will give you those 1%ers to become better. Now teams are getting better. Yeah. So anybody who's not financially, economically growing as a nation and robustly, their sport will start falling apart a little, rather falling behind a little. We've come to that stage. So call it capitalism, call it whatever you may want to call it. But the fact is, this is what Olympics will also tell us. Just look at the goals, who get them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's always a story that we like to attach ourselves to. Like for the last few years, that story is Afghanistan. Yep. All sorts of challenges and yet improvement, almost overcoming all kinds of instability and perhaps even lack of funding.
So that I think is fueled by world cricket.
Correct. I take your point that there are perhaps resources that are still there. It's not absent of it, and you will still have a West Indies story in spite of all the challenges occasionally, like you would even right now. They will in the
once in a while.
Yeah. But I guess what we're trying to understand is it fair for us to expect Sri Lanka to continue to have the kind of performances that we got used to seeing almost very early in their international experience, from their World Cup win in 1996 to regular wins in ICC events up until that period? But I always hear this from players and former players, even from your part of the world, Farveez, the domestic structure is not as strong as other nations. Now, Sri Lanka's success in the past also has had the same problems, but they had this incredible pool of talent. Is it now that the quality is also a point of concern, or do you sense that the domestic structure is actually all right, it will feed talent? Where do you stand on just how the domestic structure, even in that case I can throw in the leagues which you've worked on, the Lanka Premier League, etc., how much of that is actually feeding?
Through the LPL there were some players found out. Yes, there was, for example, Janit Trinage, straight away comes to my mind. He was found and he was nurtured, he was brilliant. Few years down the line, I think we had about 10 to 12 first-class teams when we were playing in our peak. At that time, the games were quite competitive. And then few years down the line, I think about 6-7 years ago, or probably 5 years ago, we had a time where 26 or 24 first-class teams played. I thought that was a bigger mistake because the lack of first-class cricket competitiveness did fall down.
Right.
And now it has come down to 14 teams. It's surely coming back to very competitive. So at the moment, it is fine. And also Sri Lanka has, that's a club tournament I'm talking about. Then the NSL, National Super League, that's only 5 teams. But most of the national players do not have the time to play in that tournament because they are playing around the world. So you'll have the second string playing in those 5 teams. And always the feed has been school cricket. That is quite competitive. But the other worry for me, you have those days, from the school, straight away you have good players coming through. Straight away we know, right, this player is going to play in a couple of years. But at the moment, in the last 1 year or so, that's been very much lacking. So coming out of college also, I think the feeding pathway is not at the highest level which was used to be. So that's a concern. Maybe Sri Lanka Schools Cricket Association need to look at that as well. But now for Sri Lanka cricket perspective, they have done it with only 14 teams. It's quite competitive again. There's 2 teams getting dropped to the second division, 2 coming up. So a lot of competition there. And certainly there are good players coming through, but just a matter of giving them opportunity, not only the national side, the LPL, the A teams, the developments. So I think this is the way forward.
Yeah, I mean, I know full well that these conversations sometimes require more time and they're more
100%.
complex than what we're trying to achieve over here. And if the problems of world cricket could be solved with 3 of us on a table, we would have done it a long time ago. What I do think is amazing to still see is that you'll just find heroes even in these moments of adversity. And the West Indies team dissipated and then came together when you had these league superstars who finally decided, come, let's play together again and let's, make this team a force. Now I'm seeing Thikshana, Hasaranga, Dasun Shanaka gets enough game time. Patirana's become a proper top league player and that number seems to be increasing with each year. Tushara's got IPL gigs, Rajapaksha in the past and whatnot. I think I want to ask you about Hasaranga, who is quite a fascinating subject, and whether Hasaranga in the Sri Lankan team, you just feel, this guy's got to be almost your main guy. He could be the X-factor player that will just win you games on its own. What is Vanindu Hasaranga's story with Sri Lankan cricket right now? And has he lived up to the expectation that you rightly speak of for major players?
I think when he started, he did. But in the recent past, the injuries have overshadowed his performances. And whenever he's fit, he's available. For me, he's my number one spinner in the side, especially in the white ball setup. So I'll definitely play him. But just to add on one thing you said about comparing West Indies, where they pick and choose the players. Sri Lanka, it doesn't happen. That virus, I would say, is not with Sri Lanka.
Good. Yeah.
Their players do not pick and choose. The Sri Lanka cricket, they say national cricket is priority. If there is clashing of league cricket and national cricket, international cricket is international cricket. So none of our players have gone to that level. I don't think it will go since SLC has all the control. On the part of Vanindu Hasaranga, if he's fit, if he's firing, he'll be first one in my team 11.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's interesting you use that term as a virus. Yeah, I like that. New Zealand has just had to accept it as a reality and say, all right, freelancers play where you want, play for us if you can, when you can. But anyway, like I said, we can't solve the problems of world cricket here. Let's just focus on this Asia Cup back to Sri Lanka now. Key players for you if Sri Lanka are to go all the way away. I think Pathum Nissanka's had an excellent year with the bat, but key players for you looking forward to in this tournament?
I think with the bat, Pathum and Kusal, opening batters, if they get a good start, I think most of the time Sri Lanka will have a good chance to win. And with the ball, I think the tried and tested duo of Dushmantha and Vanindu Hasaranga, those two.
Yeah. Aakash, Bangladesh, from what you've seen, it looked like a scratchy sort of start against Hong Kong. Do you feel like they'll be better playing a team which is sort of a competitor or a contemporary? It almost may bring out the best in them?
I think it should actually, and also the jitters of maybe the first game of the tournament. It's a young team, it's a different team, so that will be out of the way. And you also know that one, you've played at this surface before, two, you've won the previous game. Some players have got some game time and some runs as well. Liton Das has scored his 50. Tauhid Hridoy was there till the end. And the bowlers bowl their quota of overs as well. So they're all in a slightly better space. So that is one advantage that actually Bangladesh have over Sri Lanka, because they've just had the first game where they bulldozed Hong Kong. Not bulldozed, but yeah, at least they won that game comfortably in the end with 7 wickets. So expecting a little more, expecting a bit more fight.
Have we learnt anything about whether this is going to be a high-scoring tournament or not? I mean, it will be in the minds of the Bangladesh openers here. What sort of approach, when we know their openers like to sort of take the game on, and that didn't happen against Hong Kong. Chamira's in good form, this good Sri Lankan bowling attack. What do you sense openers would feel like in this tournament?
See, I'm not seeing this as a high-scoring Asia Cup. When most teams are now going with 3 spinners, 4 spinners, your 3 major teams are actually focusing purely on spin. That's India, Pakistan and Afghanistan. Then there are 2 who are again going with 3 proper fast bowlers. So there is a lot of focus on bowling, and I don't see it as a tournament where 200 runs will be scored very often, and therefore it should give the Bangladeshi attacking openers some amount of reprieve and time. That take your time, take the game deep, because you don't want yourself to be in a situation where Litton Das now will have to reconstruct the innings. See, that's the last thing that you want as a T20 batter or a T20 team, that in the middle of a 120 ball innings, you are ending up spending 25 balls to just stabilize. There should not be a situation. So if you can avoid that situation, you'll always score runs that are either par or slightly above par.
All right. Are we expecting this to be a well-behaved game, Farveez?
You started like this actually. There were too many gestures from Raunak.
My hands just happen to come together like they always do. I move my hands a lot.
No, you don't actually.
So the last time when these two played about 6 weeks ago back in Sri Lanka, there was no problem. There was a full series, two test matches, 3 ODIs, 3 T20s. There was no dramas, high competitive games. So I expect it to be the same.
Okay, I just have a quick couple of questions coming through on our YouTube live. Some, I think, on the absence of Theekshana. Sorry if I missed that.
Yeah, there's no Theekshana.
There's no Theekshana.
There's no Dunit Velalage as
Only
well.
one spinner, Manindu.
Only Manindu.
That is usually not as much of a surprise, I guess, to you as it might be to perhaps some fans of Mahesh Theekshana in the IPL.
I mean, to be honest, I'm a big Mahesh Theekshana fan, but the way he bowled in the first 2 Zimbabwe games, he was not up to the mark. So maybe the pitch is offering a bit of grass, so they would have, the Sri Lankan think tank would want some pace to go in, and that's the only reason why I think. And there's always Dunit Velalage. I see a lot of people are backing Dunit Velalage in the 11, but just can't, Sri Lankan selector just can't fit him in there. So 2 good players can't make the 11 as far as I'm concerned.
Velalage is an India specialist.
I wanted him to play actually.
Why? Because
generally, I mean, he gives you batting depth, he gives you bowling, left arm spin, you got right leg spin, left arm spin, and the ambidextrous coming to Mendes.
I'm sorry, I was laughing because I was going to say, why is he in your team? And I realized now that language is completely gone.
Yeah, that language does not exist anymore. There are no teams, yeah.
Sorry, no team, yeah. All right. Anyway, this is where we get first innings predictions from both Aakash Chopra and Farveez Maharoof. Remember, Sri Lanka winning the toss and putting Bangladesh in, so they're going to have a bat. Mr. Chopra, let me start with you.
161.
160 sort of game. Mr. Maharoof.
154.
154. Very well. I'm going to throw in one as well.
What? You go high.
I always go to the point which makes you look good. So I will go 190.
190.
So you know what will happen? If he gets it right, imagine how we will look.
Oh.
No. I'm guaranteeing I won't get it right.
Then 190.
So far away.
So he's pushing himself
See,
so high.
I either go for something less than 70 or more than 200 today, because the runs are just not coming in this tournament.
Not.
I've given it a little bit of a 190,
enough,
little bit of that. All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Farveez, you know our show is called Timeout, and that name was in existence much before Shakib Al Hasan and Angelo Matthews. So just putting that out there. Thank you to Aakash Chopra and Farveez Maharoof. The pleasure of their company at the end of the Bangladesh innings, where we welcome your questions and comments as well. Sri Lanka's first game in this tournament. They are the defending T20 champions, as Charita Salanka reminds us. Up against them, their rivals Bangladesh. Should be a good one. Join us at the end of the innings on CMF by Nothing presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout.
Best budget thrown out this year.
CMF Phone 2 Pro. Search now on Flipkart.